Good morning, people. We're into John chapter 21 right now, and we're looking at a couple of the amazing incidents that took place after the resurrection. The resurrection was an incredible thing anyway, but it wasn't the only incredible thing. There were some amazing incidents as Jesus appeared to different people at different times, and over the course of the period between the resurrection and the ascension of Jesus to heaven, many hundreds of people saw him alive again. We're in John 21, where it says that Peter, sitting waiting with the disciples after the resurrection had happened, and he just didn't know what to do. So he says to the guys, let's do what we know how to do. Let's go fishing. So he went, they followed, and they fished the entire night. And in the morning, they saw this figure standing on the seashore, and the figure said to them, hey, guys, have you caught anything? And they said, nothing. We fished all night. And this figure, Jesus, said to them, throw your nets on the other side of the boat. And they argued. They said, but we've been fishing all night. There's not a single thing. We fished all night. What difference is it going to be if we throw the net onto that side? And Jesus said, just do it. And they did it. And they caught a huge catch of 153 fish. That's an abundant thing. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. But here's the lesson for us. As they took their nets and threw them on the other side of the boat, on the other side of the line, as it were, they found that there was an enormous blessing waiting for them. Here's a great principle. I can't ever stop talking about this. The blessing of God, if you want to find it, is generally on the other side of a line. You've got to define what that line is, but I'll help you define a few. The first line is the one we're talking about right now, is the line of obedience, where despite the fact they didn't understand, they said, Jesus, if you have said so, then we'll do it. And so they did it, and they found the blessing of God was on the other side for them of the boat. It's not the first time that Peter has found the blessing on the other side of the line of the boat. Remember that night where he walked on the water? In order for him to walk on the water and to get to Jesus, he had to get out of the boat. And he found that the blessing was on the other side again of the line of the edge of that boat. There's always blessing on the other side of the line. Now, this is nothing new. Go through the Old Testament. You see this illustrated so many, many times. You look at Joshua, and God came to Joshua and said, Joshua, the Jordan River defines for you a line. The promised land is on the other side. If you want to get the promised land, Joshua, you've got to cross the line. And the line is that of the Jordan. And it goes all the way through Scripture. I may tell you a few more examples if you want to be convinced, but we'll do that another time. But for us even, the blessing for us is on the other side of the line of death, believe it or not, because heaven is on the other side of the line. There's always blessing on the other side of this line that God has put there. If you've put it there, then just be careful. If Satan's put it there, just be even more careful. But when God establishes a line by obedience, he says, I expect you to cross this line if you want the blessing. Maybe for some of you, it's as simple as the blessing is on the other side of the line of a bad attitude. Maybe you're grumpy. Are you a grumpy person? Are you cantankerous? Are you negative? Are you pessimistic? Are you a miserable old goat to be around? Then nobody wants to hang out with you. And for you, the blessing is most certainly going to be on the other side of the line of a change of attitude. That might be helpful. But the blessing is very, very clear. There's no blessing without crossing the line. So today, once you think about what line you may have to cross in order to find the blessing of God, we may mention a few more, but I haven't got time now just to convince you of this, but it's true. Want to find the blessing of God? It's on the other side of the line of obedience. Now remember this too, that obedience doesn't always make sense. It didn't make sense to the disciples that they would throw their net on the other side because, man, you guys were exhausted. They'd been fishing all night. It didn't make sense. And now one more throw on the other side of the boat is going to reap 153 fish. It made no sense. But you know what faith is, hey? Faith is the sixth sense that doesn't make sense. It's all about obedience. And I would put, if I were a gambler, I'd put money on it, that God is talking to you about some act of obedience that you may need to know and to do. Because the assurance is, people, if you obey, and obey fast, if you don't obey, it's disobedience. But if you obey, there's blessing on the other side. I hope that that makes sense to you today. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Bye.